Imagine this. It's your birthday morning. You're sitting in bed with coffee, your husband made you pancakes, everything feels calm, quiet, normal. Then the doorbell rings. A plain brown box is sitting on your doorstep. No ribbons, no birthday wrapping, not even a note. Just your name printed on a shipping label. You bring it inside, expecting maybe a late attempt at love from your parents, who never really treated you like their favorite. But then your husband looks at the box, really looks at it, and whispers, "Don't open it." That's when you lean in closer, and your entire body freezes. You don't open it. You can't. And just 30 minutes later, police officers are at your door and my name is Rachel Morgan. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I've never been a big birthday person. No balloons, no over-the-top parties, no posts online bragging about being 34 and thriving. Honestly, half the time I forget it's even my birthday until my husband cracks a dumb joke about being married to a mature woman while handing me a candy bar. That's enough for me. That's celebration. So when my phone rang the day before my birthday, and I saw Mom's name pop up, I was already suspicious. Her voice on the line was strange, syrupy sweet in a way that didn't belong to her. "Oh honey," she said, "we sent you a little surprise. It should arrive right on time." On time? My parents had never been on time for anything in their lives, unless it was something involving my younger sister, Eva. But I played along. I said, "Oh okay, thanks." And then she giggled. My mom never giggled. It sounded fake, out of place, like a bad actor in a play. "It's nothing big," she added. "Just a token of our love." That's when I should have known something was wrong. Not because of the words, but because she used the word love, and didn't immediately follow it with a reminder that I was too sensitive or too cold. But I wanted to believe. Even after 34 years of being fed crumbs, some part of me still hoped they were trying. Spoiler, they weren't. The morning of my birthday was peaceful. My husband, Mark, made me pancakes and coffee. He was in the other room handling a quick work call when the doorbell rang. On the mat outside was a plain cardboard box. Medium-sized. No ribbon. No handwritten note. No happy birthday balloon. Just a box, brown, taped up with a printed shipping label. Mark picked it up and set it on the kitchen counter. Then he just stood there, staring at it. His face had this still, tense look, like the box itself was dangerous. "That's from my parents," I said casually. He didn't respond, just kept staring. "They called yesterday. Said they were sending a gift." Still nothing. Then he said it, low and certain. "Don't open it." I laughed. "What? You think it's cursed or something?" But he didn't laugh with me. He just nodded toward the label. So I leaned in, and that's when my stomach dropped. There was nothing personal about it. No handwriting. No card. Just my name and address printed by a machine. The return address wasn't their street, wasn't even their city. Just a random P.O. box. My chest went cold. Mark stepped closer, tapped the edge of the box with his finger. "There," he said quietly. "Do you see it?" And I did. The tape, the barcode alignment, the glossy wrap. Something about it was familiar in a way that filled me with dread. Not fear exactly. Not yet. But dread that carried an old, familiar weight. Before I could say a word, my phone rang. The caller ID lit up. Mom. Mark and I exchanged a look. He nodded at the phone. I answered on speaker. "Sweetheart, did it arrive?" Her voice sank through the line. I froze. "Yeah," I said finally. "It came. Did you open it?" My eyes flicked to the box. "Yeah," I lied. "I opened it. It's beautiful. Thank you." "Oh honey," she said, sweet as sugar. "We just wanted to remind you how much we love you. You're our girl. Don't ever forget that." My throat closed. My mom had never said that in her life. Not at my graduation. Not at my wedding. Not even after I miscarried 2 years ago and sobbed on her couch. Mark's eyes locked on mine. I shook my head slightly. Something was wrong. "Well," Mom said cheerfully, "we just thought you deserved something nice. You've always been so strong." And then she hung up. The kitchen was silent except for the hum of the fridge. I stared at the box. It sat there on the counter like it was alive, like it was watching us. "I hate how nice she was," I finally said. "I know," Mark replied. "She only calls me sweetheart when she's lying." "I know." We stood there for a long time, not touching it, not moving it, just letting it sit between us. I wanted to throw it out the window. I wanted to burn it. Both. But mostly I just wanted it gone. And then 30 minutes later there was a knock at the door. It wasn't Amazon. It wasn't a neighbor. It was the police. The knock at the door wasn't casual. It wasn't the kind of knock a neighbor gives when they need sugar or want to borrow your ladder. It was steady, firm, professional. When I opened the door, 2 officers stood there. One was tall, mid-40s maybe, with a polite but unreadable expression. The other was younger, sharper, scanning everything like he was taking mental notes for later. "Ma'am, are you Rachel Morgan?" the older one asked. "Yes," I answered, my stomach tightening. "We've received a report regarding a suspicious package delivered to this address. Do you mind if we come in and ask a few questions?" Behind me, Mark appeared. His presence gave me enough strength to open the door wider. "Sure," I said. "Come in." They stepped inside. The younger one's eyes immediately landed on the kitchen counter where the box still sat like a guilty secret. "That the one?" he asked. "Yes," I said, my voice flatter than I meant it to be. "That's the box. Was it addressed to you?" I nodded. "Birthday present. From my parents." "Have you opened it?" "No." The older officer gave a single nod. "Do you mind if we do?" "Go ahead," I said quickly, too quickly maybe. I wanted it gone. I wanted someone else to take responsibility for it. They put on gloves, careful, methodical, like they'd done this 100 times before. The box cutter sliced through the tape with a dry sound that made my chest tighten. Inside, layers of bubble wrap, little trinkets, figurines, cheap-looking things that were supposed to pass as decor. A certificate of authenticity, and then a shipping slip printed with my name. The younger officer scanned a QR code on one of the figurines. He looked at his partner. They shared a look I couldn't quite read. "Do you know what these are?" he asked me. I shrugged. "I mean, they look like art." "Kind of." "Do you know where they came from?" I shook my head. "No. Like I said, my parents sent it." "Do you have proof of that?" "Yes." I grabbed my phone, pulled up the recording I had made of the earlier call with my mother. I hit play. Her voice filled the kitchen. "Sweetheart, did it arrive? We just wanted to remind you how much we love you." That was enough. The officers didn't show surprise, didn't react much at all. But the older one gave a slow nod. "We're going to need to take this with us. You're not being charged at this time. But this shipment matches materials connected to an active investigation." "Active investigation?" My skin prickled. "No problem," I said quietly. They boxed everything back up like it was radioactive, thanked me, and walked out the front door. Mark followed them to the porch, speaking in low tones, while I just stood there staring at the empty counter where the box had been. The silence felt wrong. Too normal. And that was all there was to say. The next few days blurred together. I tried to sink back into routine work, grocery runs, evenings on the couch with Mark. But my phone didn't let me rest. A week later, it was a detective. His tone was polite, professional, but weighted. "Rachel, do you have a few minutes?" "Sure," I said, even though my stomach twisted. "We need to confirm something. Your name appears on several documents tied to the business your sister operated. Did you ever register a business under your name?" I almost laughed. "No. The most I've sold is a bookshelf on Facebook Marketplace." He didn't laugh. "There's a digital signature with your name attached to an account connected to art sales, international suppliers, and resale platforms." He sent the signature over. It took 3 seconds to see it wasn't mine. It was sloppy, like someone tried to imitate it after glancing at the back of a birthday card once. "Is this your signature?" he asked. "No." "Do you recognize this email?" "No." Then he asked, "Could your sister or parents have had access to your documents in the past?" I paused. "Yes. Years ago. Old tax papers, ID copies. I used to trust them." Saying that out loud made me feel sick. Past tense. "Used to." The detective went on, walking me through everything they'd uncovered. A business license filed under my name. My old address listed as the official return center. Supplier contracts. Fake email accounts pretending to be me. Payment links that trace back to Eva's laptop. "You've technically been listed as a silent partner for over a year," he said. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Of course I have." He asked me for a written statement confirming I never authorized any of it. I agreed. I even sent a copy of my real signature for comparison. After that, he thanked me for my cooperation. He didn't say what would happen next. Didn't say Eva's name again. Didn't promise justice. Just, "Thank you, we'll follow up if needed." When the call ended, the silence felt heavier than before. Weeks passed in a strange limbo. Nothing happened, and then suddenly everything did. Eva was charged. Wire fraud, identity theft, import and export violations, and business fraud stacked on top. My parents weren't spared. They were charged with conspiracy and aiding and abetting. Eva took a plea, 2 years probation, a fine so big it would take her a lifetime to pay, and no business license until she was nearly 50. My parents got a suspended sentence, community service, and their names in public record. I didn't go to the hearing. I didn't need to see Eva cry on command, sitting in a beige sweater while Mom squeezed her hand like she was some misunderstood genius. But I read the transcript. My name came up 12 times. Not once did I hear an apology. Not from them. Not from anyone. After the hearings, after the headlines faded and the court transcripts were filed away, I thought maybe that was it. Maybe silence would finally settle in. But of course my parents weren't finished. It started with a message. Not from Eva. She was banned from contacting me as part of her probation, but from Mom. A carefully worded text, just one sentence. "We'd like to see you. Just us, no Eva. To talk." I stared at it for a long time. Mark leaned over my shoulder, read it, and said exactly what I was thinking. "Don't go." But I did. Not because I wanted to. Not because I needed answers. But because I wanted the final nail hammered in, the last confirmation that I wasn't crazy. We met at a small coffee shop downtown, close to the courthouse. I showed up 10 minutes late on purpose, ordered the most expensive pastry they had just to make a point, and then walked to their table. They were already sitting there side by side. My father looked down at his coffee cup like it held answers. My mother looked up at me with an expression she must have practiced in the mirror. A mix of wounded, fragile, and accusing, all rolled into one. I didn't sit right away. I let the silence stretch. Finally, Mom said softly, "We didn't know she used your name." I let out a sharp laugh. "You didn't ask either." "She told us it was just for shipping," Mom said quickly. "She said you wouldn't mind." "Yeah," I said coldly, "because that's how fraud works. You just ship it to a different name and hope no one notices." My dad cleared his throat, his old go-to move whenever he was cornered. "We thought it was temporary. She said you'd understand. You've always been good with paperwork. Organized. Stable." That word. Stable. I'd heard it my entire life. It never meant dependable. It meant disposable. "She also said I'd open the package," I said flatly. "Remember? Turns out she says a lot of things." My mother shifted uncomfortably, her lips pressing together. "We didn't think it would go this far." I leaned in slightly. "You mean you didn't think you'd get caught?" The silence after that was loud. My dad's jaw tightened. My mom's eyes glistened, not with guilt, but with the kind of tears she always used like a weapon. Then she went for the jugular. "You've always been stronger, Rachel. You don't have kids. You don't have anyone relying on you. We thought you could recover." And there it was. The justification, clean and polished, like they'd rehearsed it together in their living room 100 times. I sat back, my stomach hollow. "You offered me up," I said slowly, "because you decided my life was easier to lose." "That's not what we meant," Mom said quickly, her voice trembling in that fake, breathy way. "No," I said. "That's exactly what you meant." I wasn't even angry anymore. The rage had burned itself out weeks ago. All that was left was exhaustion, the kind that sits in your bones. I stood up. My coffee was still half full, but I didn't take it with me. "I hope you both enjoy your community service," I said, my voice even. "Maybe you'll finally learn what real work looks like." I didn't look back as I left. That night, I blocked them both. Phone numbers, emails, social media. I deleted old backups, wiped every emergency contact list that still had their names. Gone. Not out of spite. Not out of hate. Just necessity. They had used me for the last time. The next morning, Mark set a cup of coffee down in front of me. Sunlight poured into the kitchen. For a second, it almost felt normal. "You okay?" he asked gently. I sipped the coffee, nodded once. "I'm done." He didn't ask what I meant. He didn't need to. He just sat across from me, quiet, steady, the way he always had been. Done. With them. with the constant manipulation, with being the family scapegoat, done letting their choices shape my life. But the truth is, being done doesn't mean it stops haunting you. Even after the trials, even after the confrontations, I still found myself replaying things. Old moments, childhood memories, little cracks that had been there all along. I thought about the vase. I was 8. Eva was 5. The vase had been hideous, dark green ceramic, probably worth $12, but treated like treasure. When it shattered, Eva stood over it with trembling lips and tears already welling. I walked into the hallway, already knowing what would happen. When Mom appeared, Eva pointed at me without hesitation. Rachel did it. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even been in the hallway. But I said nothing. I took the punishment. I was the older one. That was my role. Eva got a popsicle. I got grounded. And just like that, the pattern was set. Years later, when Eva ruined my favorite sweater, one my grandmother had given me, Mom didn't scold her. She scolded me. Why didn't you hide it better, Rachel? You know she's still learning boundaries. It's not like I pressed a button, deleted them from memory, and carried on as if nothing happened. Family doesn't vanish like that. Even when you cut the ties, the weight still lingers. At first, it showed up in small, strange ways. Like when I went to the pharmacy and the clerk asked for my name. I hesitated. My own name felt tainted, like it wasn't really mine anymore. Or when the phone rang from an unknown number, and my chest tightened, expecting it to be them again, trying to find a new way in. Or worse, the dreams. The ones where I was back in that kitchen, the box still sealed on the counter, Mark telling me not to open it. Only in the dream I always opened it. And inside wasn't stolen goods. Inside was a letter, written in my mother's handwriting, and it said just one thing. You were never meant to have your own life. I wake up gasping, my throat dry, my chest heavy. Mark would pull me close, whisper, "It's okay. It's not real." But it was. Just in a different way. You see, what my parents and Eva did wasn't just about money or fraud or stolen merchandise. It was about power. About reminding me, even as an adult, that in their eyes I existed to carry the weight. And the worst part? For years I believed them. I believed I was supposed to be the strong one, the responsible one, the one who cleaned up the mess. I wore that role so tightly it almost felt like skin. But now I had peeled it off. And what was left was raw. Empty but free. Freedom is strange. It doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, in small choices. In the quiet moments where you realize you don't owe anyone your silence anymore. For me, it started with paperwork. I changed my emergency contacts at work. No parents, no sister. Just Mark. I updated my will. I wrote very clearly that if anything happened to me, not a single thing of mine would ever pass into their hands. And finally, I filed for a legal name change. Not a dramatic one. I didn't want to erase myself completely, but I took my grandmother's maiden name and stitched it onto my own. A name that belonged to a woman who had survived her own battles and never once asked me to carry hers. When the papers came through, I stood in the courthouse lobby with the new ID in my hand and felt something shift. For the first time in years, maybe ever, my name was mine. Untouched. Untainted. But healing isn't just paperwork. It's living. It's sitting on the balcony on a quiet morning, sipping coffee, and realizing I don't have to check my phone for guilt-laden messages. It's laughing with Mark, deep belly laughs, without the sharp sting of wondering if my parents would twist it into a weakness. It's walking through the park and realizing I can choose peace. Not because they gave it to me, but because I built it myself. There was one more test, though. A few months later, I ran into Eva, completely by accident. I was leaving the grocery store, bags in my arms, when I heard her voice behind me. Rachel. I froze. She looked different. Thinner, paler. Her hair was scraped into a messy bun, her eyes darting nervously. For a moment, just one, I felt that old tug, the reflex to soften, to forgive, to step into the role of protector again. But then I remembered the box. The courtroom. My mother's words. You don't have kids. You'll recover. And the tug disappeared. Eva shifted awkwardly, tried to smile. I've been meaning to call. I'm in a better place now. I was hoping maybe. No. I said it quietly, evenly, but it cut through the air like glass. She blinked. No. No, I repeated. I don't owe you another chance. Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. She just nodded, eyes glassy, and walked away. And me? I walked to my car, set my groceries down, and realized my hands weren't shaking. Not this time. That was freedom. Now, when I look back, I don't think of the betrayal first. I think of the moment I chose not to open that box. Because that moment changed everything. It was the first time I refused to play my assigned role. The first time I said, no, not me. Not anymore. And maybe that's the real lesson in all of this. Sometimes family doesn't protect you. Sometimes they're the ones holding the knife. Sometimes the people who should love you most are the ones who use you worst. But you still get to choose. You get to choose whether you keep carrying it, or whether you set it down, even if it means walking away with nothing but your own name. So here's the truth. I don't celebrate my birthday anymore. Not with parties, not with gifts. Not because I'm bitter, but because I don't need reminders. That day, the day the box showed up on my doorstep, that was the day I was reborn anyway. Not into someone new, but into someone free.